Why is the music still playing? Okay, it's off. Ah, that's why. My bad. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Friday night live stream. I'm Rod Saunders from Jew and Greek, having a few senior moments with my technical difficulties, but I think we got everything under control. Welcome. It is Friday, June 19th in the year of our Lord 2026. Happy Juneteenth, everybody. We're going to get into that here in a little bit. I'm waiting for Gabriel to log on. I talked to him a while ago. He's supposed to be here, but he may be a few minutes late. Ian is here. He's in the green room waiting for me to bring him in. So thanks for joining us, everybody. First of all, let me just cover a little bit about Juneteenth. Juneteenth, we celebrate. It's been a national holiday since 2021. And it's the day that we celebrate the abolition of slavery. But actually, slavery wasn't abolished on June 19th, 1865. That was just the last vestige of slavery that was shut down in Galveston, Texas. But actually, it was the 13th Amendment that ended up abolishing slavery because there are all these different pockets of servitude in the South. It was hard to enforce, and a lot of people don't know. I'm from Texas, and it's an interesting footnote of Texas history that the Battle of the Alamo, when Mexico had control and Santa Anna had control of Texas, slavery was illegal in Texas. And this is in the 1830s. It was still legal through the South, but in Texas, slavery was illegal. But people were coming to Texas because there was all kinds of opportunity there, for farming and so forth. And a lot of those people brought slaves with them. It was very hard to enforce. So slavery, even though it was illegal in Texas prior to the battle for independence in Texas, there was still slavery everywhere. Jim Bowie, who died at the Alamo, had a slave named Sam. Sam was the only man who survived the Alamo. There were women and children who were allowed to live, but the only man who survived was Jim Bowie's slave, Sam. So it's just, like I said, an interesting footnote of history. Slavery was abolished in Texas. In practical terms, it was abolished just along with everything else over a period of time with the Emancipation Proclamation, followed by all of these different federal incursions, and eventually the 13th Amendment totally abolished slavery, including indentured servitude. Which a lot of people don't realize that we still had a lot of people who wanted to come to the United States, and they signed agreements of indentured servitude in order to get here. And then once they worked off their commitment, then they had their freedom in the New World. But indentured servitude was also abolished legally with the 13th Amendment, even though it lingered on into the 20th century. A lot of the references to slavery in the Bible are in effect indentured servitude. There's also chattel slavery in the Bible, but it was not allowed under the law of Moses. It was a capital offense. So we may get into all of those topics once I bring in my guest, but let me go ahead and by the magic of StreamYard's technology, I'm going to bring in my guests. There's Ian. Welcome, Ian.
Good to be here.
And there's Gabriel chewing down his supper. I don't hear you, Gabriel.
He's muted.
And Ian, I think you I'm getting an echo, so you need to shut something down.
All right.
Or maybe that's Gabriel. Gabriel, can you hear me? Okay. Because we cannot hear you. You must be muted because you're eating. No. Okay. Well, this echo's not going to work. We're gonna. So it's got to be on Gabriel's end. Your new studio. Can you mute everything? Test 1 2 3. Still getting an echo.
Here, we'll try this. Can you hear me now?
Yes. Good. The echo's gone. Ian, say something.
We good?
Talk to me.
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. I'm not using my fancy mic. I'm just using the mic on the camera. So
that's fine. I can hear you good as long as we don't get any echo. And Ian, say 1 2 3 something.
1 2 3 something.
Okay, thank you. I don't do this very often, guys. So, and because Gabriel showed up the last minute, we didn't have a chance to do any level testing.
Sorry, I was cutting something for David Phelps. So, you can give me a Southern Gospel pass, unless you don't like Southern Gospel music. In which case, just give me the pass.
I don't like Southern Gospel. I appreciate you joining us. Southern Gospel is the reason.
Phelps.
Southern Gospel is the reason that I didn't go through the music group at Rhema. I became part of the teaching group because I didn't want to do the music, because Southern Gospel was what they did with the Rhema singers and band, and I don't do Southern Gospel. Mm-hmm. So it's a blessing, because that's how I discovered that I have a teaching gift. If I'd gone through the music and played Southern Gospel, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing tonight.
Dwayne Green has good taste. You know, the funny thing is, I didn't grow up doing Southern Gospel. I just love, good music. And the funny thing is, this song, I would say it's more Black Gospel than it is Southern Gospel. Anyway, we digress. We're not here to talk about that.
We can.
It is Juneteenth, so.
Oh yeah, there you go, Black Gospel. Woo! There we go. Tie it in.
Right. There's got to be some sort of connection. Otherwise, we're going to just end up talking about UFOs.
I'm down.
Right. Okay, I'm going to have to shut your camera off.
You don't like me eating?
No, the big old bite of food. I mean, it's okay. It's okay. People, Gabriel is a very busy guy, and I appreciate
we're keeping it real.
I appreciate him squeezing an hour or so in for us tonight, because I know you got your new studio. I'm sure you've got a lot of gigs lined up, as well as your recording sessions and so forth. Is the studio in full production now?
I just got to get the website finished. So I just need to put the website out so we can tell people that we're functional and plan the grand opening. So,
okay, it's By Faith Studios is it Albemarle?
Mount Pleasant.
Mount Pleasant.
And Jace Milligan, I got that reference. Mars Attacks. You're welcome.
I'm not even looking at the comments.
I can eat, have a conversation with you, and look at the comments.
Yeah, you multitask better than I do.
Here you go. How about this, Ron? Here we go.
Okay, that'll work. Bear with us, guys. But this is part of the fun of doing a live stream with other people. Is you never know what's going to happen. There could be a cat running around, or a baby screaming, or whatever. I don't think Ian has any babies, and I don't think Gabriel has any cats. I don't know.
Nope.
You got a dog, right?
I have 2 dogs, but they don't come in the studio typically.
Okay. Can I pet that dog? Okay, so Juneteenth. What do you guys think about the holiday for Juneteenth and the current state of race relations and all of that good stuff? Ian, we'll start with you.
I support Juneteenth on its face. Everything that we know about the last group of slaves in Galveston, Texas, hearing about the Emancipation Proclamation on June 19th, 1865. I mean, I think that's something worth remembering and commemorating. I do worry that there are certain elements in the country who would like to use that as a subversive tactic to more or less create a summer holiday in competition to Independence Day on July 4th. I think you look at the whole time that Juneteenth became a national holiday in 2021, I believe it was, under the Biden administration.
Yeah.
I mean, that was peak woke. We were coming off the Summer of Love, George Floyd, that whole epic of American history. And I don't think the motivations for making Juneteenth a federal holiday were the purest.
Right.
And that's kind of my stance on it.
Yeah, because like I said, Juneteenth, if you really get right down to it, the last holdout was Galveston. They had to send some bigwig military guy in there to enforce the abolition of slavery, the Emancipation Proclamation. But like I said, that was June of 1865, but it wasn't until December of 1865 that the 13th Amendment really abolished slavery. But yeah, a lot of people are trying to politics with this stuff. I know here in Tulsa, you weren't around back then, but I moved here back in the 80s. When I say you, I'm talking about Ian, because he lives in Tulsa too. Back in the 80s, when I moved to Tulsa, it was known as the Tulsa Race Riot.
Yes.
And the story that we were told 40 years ago was that there was supposedly an incident with a black man and a white woman or something like that. And a fight started, and it turned into a riot. And the riot ended up in Black Wall Street in North Tulsa, having a lot of buildings burned and everything. But in the past 5 to 10 years, it's become known as the Tulsa Race Massacre instead of riot. In other words, they're trying to make it look like white people just went and massacred a lot of black people on Black Wall Street because they didn't like the idea of having successful black people in the Tulsa area. And I think that's a revision of history based on everything that I was told for like 20 years. It was a riot. There were white people who were killed, and as well as black people, and there were white people and black people arrested. But that's not the way that it's being presented now. It's got much more of a one-sided presentation because since George Floyd primarily. Is that the way that you understand it, Ian?
Yeah. Well, when I moved here in 2012, I heard the story the exact way you presented it just now, and it wasn't until about I think there may have been movements toward it pre-2020, but certainly since George Floyd and the Summer of Love, it's certainly taken on this revisionist narrative. And the city of Tulsa has spent a lot of time and a lot of resources looking for mass graves and other physical evidence. And to my knowledge, they've been unable to produce any physical evidence that there was mass murder of black people in North Tulsa.
Yeah, I don't mean to minimize what happened.
No,
it was
the race riot alone is terrible and
right.
should
and
be
the black community definitely,
but
the black community definitely got the short end of the stick.
Yeah, absolutely. Black Wall Street was a very affluent black neighborhood in Tulsa.
Right.
It's a shame what happened.
Yeah, but I just don't like the fact that it was revised because of current events and politics.
Yes.
It was a very unfortunate thing that happened, but there were white people who went to jail, and there were white people who were shot, or white buildings that were burned as well. So anyway, of course, this is 100 years ago, I think. Do you know the year?
Yeah,
offhand?
it's a little bit over 100 years. I think they had the 100th year commemoration of it 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm not exactly sure when it was.
Yeah. So anyway, but yeah, it's a shame politics has to get involved in so many of these things. You know, we've had recent developments in current events. We've had of course, the Carmelo Anthony, Austin Metcalf thing down in the Dallas area. Just the other day, there was a shooting at a Walmart. I think it was that Louisiana, someplace. And then
I didn't hear about that one.
Oh yeah, there was the police shot at a car and killed a baby. There was a baby in the car, and the car was somebody was reported to be shoplifting. The police showed up, and they ran and got in the car and drove toward a police officer, and he shot into the car. Anyway, I don't know what all the details on that are, but the people they were pursuing were black, and I think it was a white police officer that shot. And then there was the incident here in Oklahoma a month or two ago where there was a mass shooting at a lake, and it's unfortunate because that's a place where people go to get away from everything and enjoy a nice peaceful weekend and everything. That was, I can't remember the name of the lake. Do you know that, Ian?
Arcadia, I think.
Arcadia. Yeah. Yeah. There was a mass shooting there, and it turns out that there was a bunch of kids there having a party, and they brought their drugs and their guns and everything. It's just crazy that
lawlessness.
Yeah, you can't even show up for a get together at a lake without worrying about violence, mass murder breaking out. But one thing that I have noticed in all of this is there does seem to be a movement toward law and order, and it just seems to me that people have had enough. They've had enough of justifying violence on both sides,
Well, unfortunately not.
Are you gonna disagree with me?
No, I don't disagree with you. The 70% of Black America does, unfortunately.
Okay.
Which is sad, but that's the most recent stat of basically. I don't know how it was on the Carmelo Anthony, but I don't even think it's close to 50-50, which is sad because I mean all the lawlessness and the nonsense and the violence that's committed amongst those communities, you would think that they would be ready to put the crooks away, but
just for the record, everybody here tonight is mixed. Gabriel is
everybody in America is mixed.
You're what, Dominican and what?
Oh, I'm 100% Dominican, but Dominicans are basically, I'm like, if you look at me genetically, I'm a third African, a third European, and a third Native American.
Okay,
that's what you got: the Spaniards, the Europeans, the slaves, the Africans, and then the Native Americans, those were the ones on the islands. So that's, and basically you have varying degrees of Dominicans where some have more melanin, some, like I had, for instance, my grandmother on my mother's side was very light skinned with red hair, but my grandfather was black on my mother's side. So.
And as I recall, you said black.
He dark. He was about almost as dark as Ian's shirt.
Okay. I am.
That would qualify as black. Black.
Yeah.
I am mostly Scottish and Anglican or Anglican.
You've converted, Rod.
Anglo, not Anglican. But I do have some German, and I'm 1/16 Blackfoot Indian. My dad's mother was a quarter Blackfoot. Dad was 1/8 on 16th. So
that's more than Pocahontas.
I'm not as mixed as you guys are now. Ian is, I don't know how much percent. Are you fully Hawaiian or what?
I'm not Hawaiian by ethnicity at all, although I was born and raised in the islands. I am half Filipino on my mother's side.
Oh, my bad.
No, you're good.
I know you've told me that before, but I am a senior citizen. Okay.
He gets a pass.
So you're from Hawaii.
I'm from Hawaii,
but
born
your ethnicity
and raised in the islands.
Is half Filipino?
My mom's Filipino. My dad is a good mix of various Euro nationalities, except for his grandmother was full Cherokee.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so you got native blood in you too.
Yeah, whatever percentage trickles down after 4 generations.
Well, in this part of the country, most white people have some, and a lot of black people have some Native American blood in them.
Yeah.
You know, because that's
that's what Kimball's saying in the comments, that they're 75% Native American and 25% Afrocentric. Yeah, there it is.
Right. So,
Kimball also said, "I'm black and I've certainly had enough." Listen, man, I'm ready for everybody to have had enough. I don't understand the free crime pass. I mean, people just doing all sorts of nonsense and craziness, and
right.
Nobody goes to jail. I mean, people are the funny thing is what you were just talking about with that mass shooting and the baby getting shot in the parking lot. That is happening every week in Chicago and has been for over a decade.
Yeah.
It doesn't even make the news anymore.
But there's not a cop involved in Chicago.
Yeah. I mean, does it matter?
Typically. Well,
does it? I mean, if a 1-year-old or a 2-year-old's getting shot, does it matter who's doing the shooting? Really?
Yeah.
It shouldn't.
From the standpoint of, you can't bring them back. It's irreversible. But from a political standpoint, of course, it gives people an opportunity to score some points. The Walmart shooting happened in Senatobia. I get that's
Mississippi.
Mississippi.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I appreciate that. I couldn't remember. I knew it was in the South and it wasn't Texas. So, there's still a lot of things like that happen, but we don't see riots. We don't see people, this knee-jerk reaction that we used to see.
Well, we haven't seen it because of who's in office. That's why. Because if they would do that stuff now, like what happened in California, they started to pop off when ICE was called to start. It was a landslide victory because white Americans, black Americans, Hispanic Americans, Asian Americans want the illegals out. They want them out. They're tired of getting in an accident and watching somebody get killed of a DUI. So somebody that's not even supposed to be in this country. And then they go to jail. We kick them out of the country. They come back and do it again. So they started to riot. And what happened? The National Guard was sent in, the Marines were sent in, and they squashed that stuff immediately. That's why we're not seeing riots.
Okay. All right. I think from what I've seen on social media, I think that there's a change in the overall tone. I see a lot of black content creators taking my position on this, that no, you can't just blame everything on racism.
And to take it back, to the Juneteenth discussion, this is something that should unite the country. This is something that should unite American citizens. This is something that we should be proud of. that for a nation that is 250 years old, it squashed so many things that it took other countries half a millennia. And there are other countries that are still practicing slavery in this world right now.
Not legally.
And
I
China ain't doing it legally. Saudi Arabia ain't doing it legally. Afghanistan ain't doing it legally. Right. They're not stopping that, like they are that, like the Uyghur Muslims in China, that is government sanctioned. They are in the government prison doing work. They're doing slave labor. So Disney, like they literally said thank you to China and the province where the Uyghurs worked on that film, and they are stinking enslaved in prisons in China. All the media guys called them out.
You're saying that slavery is legal in China?
I mean, if you're not Chinese. But I mean, if you're not Chinese, buddy, you better watch out. Don't get on the wrong side of that country.
Okay.
You better.
Because that goes against my understanding. I thought.
I mean, they might have it on paper, like they have Christianity is legal on paper.
Okay.
But you're exactly right, Kimball. It's rampant in Africa, unfortunately.
Mm.
But yeah, on that side of the planet, it's still happening a lot. So all that to say, this should be a uniting thing, and I wish it could be celebrated. I wish it wasn't a contentious thing. Listen, this is probably a point of contention, even with people here in the comments, but I love Lift Every Voice and Sing. For those that don't know, Lift Every Voice and Sing has now been dubbed the Black National Anthem. It's not that Black National Anthem. It was sung. I've been doing Juneteenth events for 20 plus years. I've been going to stuff for Martin Luther King, even after I found out all the nonsense, because, we like the idea of what he was rather than what he actually was. And singing that song was actually a contender to be our national anthem. Lift Every Voice and Sing. It is a beautiful hymn. It's absolutely beautiful. And now that's become, yeah. And it's a beautiful, go read the lyrics. We should sing that song in church. That's what it was. It wasn't meant as a political statement, a political song. It's a Negro spiritual, beautiful song, but it's become contentious. So now when it's sung, before an NFL game, it's the Black National Anthem. We only need one national anthem. Everybody puts it to be a divisive issue, and it shouldn't be. We should all Americans. We should sing that song. We should look at Juneteenth and be like, yeah, hey, who doesn't want another holiday? I mean, if you ain't Jewish. We don't really get that many days off as working Americans.
If we keep adding holidays, we're not going to have any work days.
Well, hey, man, I mean, the tax us to death anyway, so might as well get a couple paid days off a year, right?
Yeah, I know. You got to be pretty racist not to want a day off, but anyway.
Let us work. We want to work.
I heard a black comedian say
what factory.
I heard a black comedian say one time that you got to be pretty racist not to want to take a day off work for Martin Luther King Day, and he said, I'd celebrate KKK Day if I got a day off from work.
All I can think of is Dave Chappelle as the black white supremacist.
Yeah. Oh, he did some funny stuff. Anyway, getting back to Juneteenth and the Emancipation Proclamation and everything. On my thumbnail, I've got Abraham Lincoln signing the Emancipation Proclamation, but that really didn't do it. That came first, and then came Juneteenth, and then that was followed by the 13th Amendment, which is really what abolished slavery. But they abolished slavery in Brazil 20 years later without a war. Brazilians, a lot of people don't know this, a lot of slave owners, after the abolition of slavery in the United States, they moved to Brazil because it was still legal there. And they just felt like it was more lucrative to have a farm with slaves. And since they couldn't do it here, they moved to Brazil. There's a city in Brazil called Americanas that was founded by Americans who moved there after abolition of slavery here. And then 20 years later, they made it illegal there. So all those people were out of luck at that point. But I think it was Ron Paul who said that we shouldn't have fought the Civil War. And a lot of people took that as he had no problem with slavery. But what he was actually saying was that most countries got rid of slavery without a war.
Yeah.
We were the one that decided to fight a war over it, but they abolished.
Well, but that was part of why that the slavery wasn't even the main ticket. It's been postulated as to make us look really good and make the North look really good, make Lincoln look really, really good. But that wasn't even the main issue. It was about states' rights.
Yeah, but would they have fought a war strictly over states' rights?
Oh, yeah. You kidding me? I mean, you got people that are ready to do it today.
I think they would have fought a war for states' rights, but it doesn't change the historical fact that the issue at the heart was the states' rights to have legalized slavery.
Right.
The economic fallout that they were worried about in the South because of abolition. I mean, there were real concerns for the people of the time, but I think one reason why so many Americans on the right wing get offended when leftists call America systemically racist and all these things that we've heard over the last 10 years is because the Civil War was the bloodiest war fought in American history. Like, the blood of our ancestors was shed on the ground of our country to abolish slavery. I mean, we can debate the particulars of the reasons of why the states.
But it was part of the issue. I won't deny that. It's part of it.
Yeah, so we can debate the particulars, but like, massive amounts of blood was shed, and the end result was the abolition of slavery in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a slap in the face to the people who lost loved ones and suffered unimaginable hardships in that war. I mean, I think that's why so many people take offense when we hear, the woke talking points, let's say.
Well, and that was the thing that I loved that Charlie, Kirk was always bringing up was we almost abolished it either before the Revolutionary War, immediately afterwards, because it was like something like 9 of the original 13 colonies wanted to abolish it, but they needed they needed everybody to fight England, so they couldn't address it just then. And like he went broke. I think it was Jefferson that went broke because of once again the Fed, the government being so genius. Like, you had to pay a tax for every slave that you freed, so he couldn't even afford to. Like, he freed as many as he could, and he went broke doing it. So, but we don't want to talk about that. We just want to talk about how he had a black mistress, and like, well, I don't think he was allowed to marry her, but I was basically his woman. I mean, she had kids, and he didn't disown his children. Is that something a racist would do?
John Adams was perhaps the most staunch opponent of slavery from that founding generation. His cousin, Samuel Adams, as well, very, very strong anti-slave position. George Washington, perhaps a little bit more complicated, but he for the time, was very progressive on the issue of race. He began the Revolutionary War not thrilled about the inclusion of Black soldiers in the Continental Army, but like after that first winter in Boston in 1776, he was more than happy to have them. In some of his letters, he writes about the bravery and the work ethic of those Black soldiers that were serving under his command. So, I mean, it's not all good. It's not all bad either.
Yes,
it's complicated. one
That's
thing
history.
I think we should all be proud of the fact that the founding fathers created a document that would allow for the abolition of slavery.
Yes.
The Constitution was written in a way to where if there was enough of a consensus that amendments could be made. And even though it was not politically doable in the 18th century, eventually in the 19th century, slavery was abolished. And then eventually women were given the right to vote. And the founding fathers did not want quick change. They wanted stability in the government. And so they had a process in the Constitution for amendments, but you had to have a lot of momentum to get an amendment passed. I remember years ago, I was working when I was going to Rhema Bible School over 40 years ago, I was working with some Iranians that came here under the Shah to study petroleum engineering at the University of Tulsa. And then they were going to go back to Iran and get a nice job, right? Well, while they're here studying petroleum engineering, the Ayatollah takes over. And they're like, can't go back to Iran now. He'll stick us in the middle of the war. So they became illegal aliens because they overstayed their visas and everything. But I remember a discussion with one of those Iranian students. And by the way, if you don't know, back then, Iranians, a lot of them spoke English. They learned English under the Shah. He was trying to westernize Iran. And so these guys were all fluent in English and they were educated and everything. But we were having a discussion. I think it was Mehran. The guy's name was Mehran. And he says, your system is so stupid. It takes forever to get anything done here in the States. He says, in Iran, if we want to get a law passed, we get it passed. And I said, that's the problem with Iran.
That's dangerous.
Right. And I said, things move slowly here on purpose to promote stability. That's why we don't have an Ayatollah running the country. That was into that conversation. But anyway, but yeah, a lot of the world has looked at the United States as, this is really a stupid system, man. You can't get anything done. Everything moves
Yet
so
they're
slow.
all trying to come here. Yet
Especially-
they're all
Especially for the World Cup. You got all these people coming to the States for the World Cup. They're going, man, America's nothing like I was told.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's trending.
They've been looking down their nose at America for all their lives, and
the food
they get here for the World Cup. They take one bite of Texas barbecue, and they're like, "This is the greatest country on earth."
Give me some of that fried chicken.
We try to tell you. We try to tell you.
Yeah, there was this one guy from was he from South Africa? I think he was from South Africa, and he was walking through a park, and he said, I can't believe it. You just walk through the park and you see people throwing frisbees and running around, enjoying themselves. And he said, in Cape Town, you wouldn't last 2 minutes in a park because
That's sad.
crime is
I
so
saw that
rampant
video.
there. And he said, it's so peaceful. It's so nice here. Now, people aren't looking over their shoulders constantly when they go out in public. I didn't know that South Africa was like that. I don't know that. I don't know if it's like that all through the country, but apparently in the big cities, that's the way that it is. But yeah, there's a reality check for a lot of people coming to the United States for the World Cup, and they see that this is not the Satan, the great Satan that a lot of people have been led to believe. But I am proud of my country in the respect that we had a mechanism in place to abolish slavery and to eventually to grant civil rights, voting rights, and end segregation. I'm the elder here. Okay, I grew up. I'm a baby boomer. I grew up in the 60s and 70s, and I remember segregation. I remember when I was a kid going downtown shopping with my mom. I'm like 6, 7, 8 years old, and there's black people everywhere. And, in my part of town, we didn't see black people. I'd seen them on television, but I'd never seen black people just out walking around in public. But back then we didn't have malls. You had to go downtown to go shopping. And I saw all these black people and I thought, oh, why are they black? And my mom tried to explain it to me, you know, but we were segregated. And I did not go to school with a black person until I was in high school in 1971. I remember the day that Dr. King was shot. I remember the Watts riots. I remember Attica and all of this stuff that happened back then. The Chicago 7, was it?
Chicago 7.
Yeah, Angela Davis and all of that. We went through some very difficult times enforcing civil rights and integrating our society. I did not like it. I didn't like going to school with black kids because it was hard. I didn't understand them. They talked different from me. They acted different from us. I didn't like it at first. But looking back on it, I think, you know, how else were we going to do it? You know, it was difficult to integrate society. It wasn't a smooth transition. But today we've got black and white and Latinos and Asian people living in the same neighborhoods, working the same jobs, going to the same schools and churches and so forth. And it was not like that 60 years ago. I'm telling you. I remember when George Wallace ran for president on a segregation platform in 1968. He won 5 states. George Wallace, a segregationist, won 5 states in that election. The last time that a third party or independent candidate won a state in a presidential election, he won 5 states: Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia. Got this stuff memorized because I was born in Arkansas and I had relatives in Arkansas. And I remember in 68, we went to visit my mom's family and there's George Wallace bumper stickers everywhere. And I didn't see George Wallace bumper stickers in Texas, but they're everywhere in Arkansas. Yeah, I grew up in a day when black people couldn't go into certain restaurants or places of business. They couldn't attend certain schools. I saw all that change. And that's why it just chaps my hide when I hear people talk about nothing's changed at all in this country. You know, you weren't around 50, 60 years ago as we went through the change. Okay. I mean, if you saw a black man with a white woman back in the 60s, you didn't know how that was going to turn. You know, I mean, there might be trouble.
It was dangerous.
Yeah. And mixed marriages that's not a deal anymore. It's just people are,
they're actually trying to bring that deal and make that an issue again now. One of my, well, you've we've had Charvis on here, so you know my brother Charvis, and he sent me a video that Ruslan had this debate with this Pastor Joel guy. I guess it was just a couple months ago, debating this guy was trying to argue that interracial marriage was not biblical.
You talking about Joel Webbin?
And is that him? Is that who he is?
Does he have a beard?
He has a beard,
dark hair, dark beard.
Like,
there you go. Yep. So he that reads was already on it, and I mean, I had to just sit there. I suffered because I watched that whole thing because I didn't want to, wanted to not just like tap out after 10 minutes of listening to that stupidity. That was difficult, but yeah, this basically these things. So many of these things that were basically, if not dead and in the grave, on ICU. You know, isn't it crazy, Rod, that you grew up in integration, and then within 25 years, who are the most famous, most beloved Americans? Michael Jackson, Michael Jordan, Mike Tyson, the 3 Mikes. They owned the 80s, man. And around the world and in this country, everybody loved them. Everybody loved them. You know, like I was, growing up in Massachusetts and Florida, so the North and the South. And like where I was in the South was not like Miami. It was like Fernery. So it was like rednecks, Florida prepared me for being a North Carolinian. And dude, the 80s and 90s was just like, dude, this stuff's, we've conquered it.
And then
Lift
in
every
the late 90s, Tiger Woods comes along.
Exactly.
And then Obama got elected in 2008.
And we took 50 steps back, man. We went back 50 years.
I wasn't gonna say that, but yeah, it did seem.
Well, we're trying to. Well, that's what the media and these talking heads are trying to impose on people. But the reality is, if you shut your phone off and you just go live your life, it's everybody gets along. I mean, before TV and Hollywood and the music industry lost its grip and everything became fractured, when there was still a cohesive culture. We all listen to the same stuff. We all, most Americans watch the Oscars. Most Americans watch the Grammys. We were all getting along. We were all mostly listening to the same stuff. And now it's like something like there was a couple cracks in the glass and somebody just threw a rock at it.
Yeah, it does seem that we have taken a step back in race relations. More
than one.
I remember the first time I ever saw Bill Cosby on TV. I Spy.
Oh yeah, was that the 68 or was that the early 70s?
No, that was in the 60s.
Okay,
Robert Culp and Bill Cosby were co-stars. I think it was the first primetime television show with a star or a co-star that was black. And Bill Cosby was huge back then because Bill Cosby figured out
Cosby Show.
He figured out that to be a successful comedian, you had to have material that everybody could relate to. A lot of black comedians back then, they did black comedy. They made their material all about race relations. And he just talked about general stuff like To Russell, My Brother.
Family, kids. Yeah, exactly.
That everybody could relate to. And he became a huge success as a stand-up comedian. My sister bought Bill Cosby albums. We sat and listened to.
Well, once again, let's talk about the biggest. What were the biggest cultural influences? So, let's put Motown to the side. Let's talk about Good Times, The Jeffersons,
Sanford and
Cosby
Son.
Show. Sanford and Son. Exactly.
Sanford and Son was the best sitcom ever, in my opinion.
Everybody loved it.
Yeah.
Everybody loved it. We all sat and watched it. We all went and quoted. Everybody went, and then you go to the next generation. Then you get A Different World, and then you get Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and Family Matters. We all watch these things. We all, unless you were like a hardcore, I only listen to country and like Nirvana, you knew who Boyz II Men was. You knew who Whitney Houston was. You knew who Michael Jackson was. You knew at least a couple of their songs, even if you were a diehard country fan. So, and now it's there's.
I don't know anything about Boyz II Men. I gotta be honest with you. That was a boys band. Is that what it was?
What are you talking about?
Boyz II Men.
Oh yeah. You don't know Boyz II Men?
No.
Well, you
I think I've heard it. I've heard that name before.
You get a pass. You get a pass. They were kind of the second coming of the Jackson 5, even though there was only two brothers and there was only four of them.
Okay, who's the one that Justin Timberlake was in?
That was NSYNC.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm not into boys bands. Anyway, but I remember that fate. And then there was Menudo, right, for the Latinos.
We didn't really have we didn't really get the Latino explosion until Livin' La Vida Loca, and then Mark Anthony blew up, and then you got Shakira, J-Lo. But it was really kind of Ricky Martin that Livin' La Vida Loca that everybody's like, oh, we got to have something in Spanish. It's all the rage now. But they recognized, and we kind of had that. Unfortunately, again, I wish it could have been a better artist. And to be honest with you, I don't really know this guy's music, but I've heard 3 or 4 songs, and to me, they're all crap. The Bad Bunny guy, you know. So we kind of had that again, and everybody was talking about, oh, you know, it's Puerto Rican and this. I'm like, listen, I don't care. He's Puerto Rican. I don't care the songs are in Spanish. I just care that the music's not good. That's all I care about, you know. I don't care if he's a Martian. Let the music be good, you know. If the Joker can play or do something, you know.
Yeah.
Half of those signups for white supremacy groups after Obama were probably FBI agents. Let's be real.
Yeah, because you know who was it that voted him in? The country's majority white, so I don't know what you're talking about there.
Yeah, that's a factoid I'm not familiar with. But I think it was Louis Armstrong that said there's only two kinds of music: good music and bad music.
Yeah, God rest his soul. That's one of my heroes when I was first, you know, learning to play.
And I'll be honest with you, I'm not a big fan of hip hop and rap, even though I do know who Busta Rhymes is. We were talking about that the other day.
I would have just assumed
we weren't talking about that.
Bumping those tracks.
There was a video that I did early on when I probably didn't even have 1,000 subscribers. But one of my subscribers was a black guy who goes to Bill Winston's church, I think. Anyway, I was rebutting this young white guy who was doing anti-word of faith videos. And I showed a clip of him rapping, and he was a terrible rapper. But I said, you know, this is what he's doing when he's not, you know, attacking charismatics, and he's trying to rap. And then I went through the whole rebuttal, and then at the end of the video, I said, so what have we learned here? I said, well, the first thing we've learned is homeboy ain't no Busta Rhymes. And this black guy,
I think I remember that video.
He left a comment. He says, I'm surprised you know who Busta Rhymes is, LOL. And I said, hey, man, I'm hip.
Well, you know, and that goes to the point, the same thing about the, you know, the sign up for white supremacy groups. I mean, well, who's buying all these hip hop albums? Who's putting this stuff at the top of the charts? I mean, with how what's the percentage of black folk in America? Is it like 13%?
That's the number I've heard is 13%.
It's something like that. It's less than 20%. But who's buying all that music? I mean,
well, it's not just black people.
It's not. Listen, when I go and I play these weddings and I do these gigs and I'm surrounded by an ocean of white people, I'm just like, and they know every lyric. I'm like, y'all are blacker than me because I don't know two of these songs.
Yeah. Well, and you know, you and I, Gabe, the other day we were talking about Vanilla Ice.
Hold up. That's the strategic advice. You got to put that up. She got you good, Rod. Or he got you. Busta Rhymes, but not Boys to Men. Exactly. How you gonna know Busta Rhymes, but you don't know Boys to Men?
Sorry.
Oh, that's great. That was beautiful. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's true. I Coolio was one of my favorites as far as and the Fat Boys.
Fat Boys were hilarious. Yeah, they were great. They died too soon.
Yeah, but no, I don't like boy bands. Sorry. Anyway,
you caught that, didn't you, Ian? But the sad thing is, it's true. It's true. It's
true. My God!
But the point that I was
called the Fat Boys died prematurely.
They didn't have Ozempic in the 90s, man.
Yeah, or liposuction or whatever. Holy. But the point that I was making is, I'm not a big fan of hip hop and rap and black music in that sense, but I love George Benson and Earl Klugh and Robert Cray. There are a lot of black artists. Seal. There are a lot of black artists that I like. I just don't like that genre of music. But I also, as I said before, I don't like Southern gospel. I don't like country.
Does that make you racist? Hey, comment. Hey, chat. Is Rod a conflicted because he doesn't like hip hop, but he also doesn't like Southern gospel?
I don't know how that would depict me as far as my race relations is concerned, but I just never I grew up in Texas, okay? Back in the 60s and early 70s on television in Texas, you had Ernest Tubb and the Texas Troubadours. You had Porter Wagner. Dolly Parton got her start on Porter Wagner's TV show. And that was country music that was just crying in your beer, steel guitar, country music. You don't hear country music like that anymore. But I grew up listening to it, not listening to it, but you couldn't avoid it. It was just everywhere. And I liked the Beatles. I liked James Taylor. That was the stuff that I gravitated toward. Cat Stevens, I thought was awesome. And so when I would go into a restaurant or something and I'd hear steel guitar country music, I couldn't stand it. And that's one reason when I got to Rhema and I heard them playing Southern Gospel, I'm going to go through the teachers group. I'm not going to go through the music group. But yeah, I avoid certain genres, but that doesn't mean it's race oriented, because there are black artists that I love. There are black actors that I like. Cuba Gooding Jr., for example. But there are black actors that I don't like, especially who's the guy that does the woman, he's out there in Georgia.
Tyler Perry.
Tyler Perry, thank you. Yeah. You talk about, I don't know about Boys to Men. I don't know anything about his movies. I know he dresses up as a woman. He's like 6'4".
Mm-hmm. He is not a small man.
And somehow or another, that appeals to a lot of people. I don't get it. But it's not race oriented. It's just like I don't like that style of comedy, And who was that? It was Dave Chappelle, I think, that talked about they're always wanting to put black comedians or black actors, have them dress up as women. They think that's funny, and he refused to do it. There's a certain kind of comedy that appeals to me and a certain kind that doesn't. I like comedy that has a little intellect to it. If you watch Monty Python, a lot of their references you won't get if you don't know anything about history.
Mm-hmm.
It'll go right over your head. Even Popeye cartoons, a lot of times. I would watch Popeye cartoons and they make references on it. Now, how is a kid supposed to understand that?
Listen, that's the point. I said that about the Looney Tunes just the other day. I was like, I think that's why this next generation. Did you grow up watching Looney Tunes, Ian?
Yeah.
Thank God. That's why you can hang with us, man. I'm going to start using that as like I'm like my starting question when I talk to anybody that's younger than the age of like 35. Like, did you watch Looney Tunes growing up? Not really. Yeah, we're not going to get along. Just get out of here.
Anybody under the age of 35 who knows Edvard Grieg watched Bugs Bunny. You know what I mean? Like, if you have an understanding of classical music, you probably grew up watching Looney Tunes.
The Barber of Seville.
That's been trending. That's been trending on Instagram for a couple years. That this is what I mean. There are people that are doing classical music for a living, that are singing opera for a living because they watched Looney Tunes, because that was their exposure, because they lived in Texas. So they lived in some other place where they didn't have opera as a main thing.
Yeah, there's a soprano for the Tulsa Opera. I can't remember her name, but she got into opera singing because she heard that. I can't remember the name, but it's in Carmen. But it's a thing. Yes, that one. Yeah, it's from Carmen. I know that much. She got
I can't remember what it's called.
She heard that in a Hanna-Barbera cartoon somewhere.
Yeah, there's probably also jazz artists or jazz musicians who got started after watching Peanuts. Vince Guaraldi played the piano.
Yeah. Peanuts, Tom and Jerry. You know, there's a lot of jazz in top. Or listen to the Flintstones. That Flintstones theme. Kidding me?
Yeah. Dun, 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 dun. They had the xylophone. Dun, 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 dun.
Yep. I mean, the Flintstones, the Jetsons, but yeah, well, we'll go on a whole thing of just the music from those TV shows and, you know, the cartoons.
Right.
It's how it's so
Taxi.
it's objectively superior. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Bob James.
This guy, yeah. So
If you don't know, Bob James was a jazz keyboard guy, and the TV show Taxi back in the 70s and early 80s. He did the theme song to Taxi.
yep, he did a lot of stuff with David Sanborn. I love that man's music.
Yeah, and that it was so different from other TV theme songs, but there were no lyrics. It was low key. It was just light jazz. But it just seemed to fit the vibe of, you know, riding around New York in a cab.
That's funny, Kim Bell. I don't know Bob James, but I know Rick James.
I know Rick James. You know, I can't do that line.
The very kinky girl, the kind you don't take home to mother.
Yeah, she's a super freak. Super
Your
freak,
Christian live stream.
Right? Yeah, I can't do that. I'm
Listen,
Rick James. B.
It's either that or it's Give It to Me, Baby, or it's Mary Jane. Which one would take your pick?
I mean, when I hear Rick James, I think the Dave Chappelle thing. You know,
Oh yeah, everybody does.
They did with Eddie Murphy's brother, Charlie Murphy.
Charlie Murphy.
R.I.P.
Oh,
R.I.P.
We've really gotten off track here, but there was also the one where he played basketball with Prince.
Yeah, and that was funny because Kim Bell brought up. He said like that's his favorite artist, and it's funny because they actually brought up Dave Chappelle in the comments too. They were talking about the because of Tyler Perry. Let me trace we actually circle back into the chats conversation where they were talking when you said Tyler Perry talking about the suppose that it's a Hollywood ritual to shame black men by having them put on a dress. And actually Chappelle said he wouldn't do it. Cat Williams said he definitely wouldn't. Cat Williams has never. And then what's his face? What's the little short guy that's funny that everybody likes?
Kevin Hart.
That guy, like he said he wouldn't do it and he did it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then that somebody brought up that Dave Chappelle did in Robin Hood Men in Tights. And he sure did. So they're kind of tracking with us, even though they went off a little bit rabbit trail. We ended up on the same rabbit trail.
Well, you and I had a conversation the other day, Gabriel.
We should have live streamed that. It was a great conversation.
That's what prompted me to do this, is because we went off in 100 different directions and had such a great time talking about things like UFOs and.
That's why I told Rod, I was like, man, you really want to talk about Juneteenth? I was like, that could be really divisive. I said, let's talk about disclosure.
Did an hour on Juneteenth.
The disclosure.
Talk about some aliens, man. I can't be with Rod and not talk about like, oh, we got to talk about something theological or the rapture or aliens, something theologically divisive.
Well. The Bible addresses these things. You know, slavery was addressed in the Bible. Chattel slavery was a capital offense. And then a lot of people try to say, well, the Bible condones slavery. You know, if you understand the culture at the time, the slaves in the Bible, they were either because there was no foster care back then. There was no life insurance companies. If you didn't have anybody to provide for you, you had to offer your services in exchange for food, clothing, and shelter. And so that beat being homeless and fighting off the wild animals, becoming a servant in somebody's home where they could provide for you. So it was a completely different scenario from chattel slavery in the United States in the 19th century. But there were people who were captured in war and made slaves. That was a part of how they, it cost money and human lives to go to war. And so they justified taking slaves from the enemy as a way of reconstituting, their economy and so forth. But then there was also they didn't have the prison systems that we have, so a lot of times people paid off their debt to society through servitude, and until they paid that off, if it wasn't a capital offense. But chattel slavery was forbidden, and race relations. The Bible says that we're all one in Christ. There's neither Jew nor Greek, bond nor free, male nor female. We're all one in Christ. So the Bible teaches us how to behave toward one another as far as race relations is concerned. But you have to put it in the context of the time that it was written.
Yeah. What does Paul tell slaves or indentured servants, if you would prefer, is obey your master or your boss as you would obey Christ. What does he tell slave owners, masters? Remember that you are also slaves, slaves to Christ.
That's right.
I mean, we're one body. We're one family. That was a radical notion in the first century, but
and then
it was
James,
a great equalizer in the covenant community.
James wrote to the church and he said, let the brother of low degree rejoice and that he is exalted, meaning, God loves you and Jesus died for you, even if you're poor and society doesn't value you. And then he said, and the rich, in that he is brought low. Now, what does that mean? Yes. That means that the rich people have to understand that they're spiritually poor. And if they don't understand that, they're not going to be saved. So the brother low degree rejoices, and the rich rejoice in that they've been made aware of their spiritual poverty, and have come to faith. So you don't show preferential treatment for
that's right. That's right. The
poor.
Rich man. Yep. You don't bring in the rich man and put him in the place of honor, and the first shall be last, and the last shall be first. That's
so the gospel is a great equalizer when it's preached and taught correctly. Unfortunately, people a lot of times try to take the Bible and push an agenda. And that happened during the Civil War. There were people, my denomination that I grew up in, the Southern Baptists, they started because of a split with the Northern Baptists over the issue of slavery. The Southern Baptists were pro-slavery. They're not now, but that's how they started off. And they would use
anti-women clergy.
Oh boy, are we going to go down that road?
No, I'm sorry.
But it's true that there were people that used passages from the Bible to justify slavery. And when I was a kid, I heard Baptist preachers use verses in the Bible to justify segregation and to oppose interracial marriage. I heard somebody say one time, the Bible says, be not unequally yoked. Be not unequally yoked together. That's with unbelievers. But people would use that verse in reference to race.
I'm telling you, they're trying to bring it back right now. That was that whole thing with that Joel Weber, Webhead guy.
That guy's I'm
gonna call him Joel Webhead
twin.
Joel,
but
is
somebody,
a piece of work.
I think we highlighted the comment earlier. I can't remember who it was. I think it was maybe Kimball. Said the Bible's idea of interracial marriage and someone like Joel Webbin's idea of interracial marriage are like completely different.
Yeah.
And that's true because what does God tell King Solomon? Don't marry those Egyptian women. Don't marry those Canaanite women. Why? Because they will turn your heart to their gods.
Yep.
It's exactly all about it's more religious than it is about ethnicity.
Yeah, it's not about they'll grow up listening to hip hop. That wasn't. Yeah, they didn't think in terms of race. I don't think like we do. They thought in terms of culture, and you can't You can't separate people in biblical times from their theology. It was just, what God do you worship?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've got the God of, what was it, Moloch? Moloch, whatever.
Moloch was a
Oh,
pagan
yeah.
deity.
Oh yeah.
The Mammon, that was a god. And then, of course, there was a story with Naaman and the Syrian, the guy who went and dipped 7 times the Jordan River,
Mhm.
and he was cleansed, and he was so thrilled. He says, "I'm going to worship the God of Israel." That was just the way that people thought back then. Who's got the right God? And they were polytheistic. Most of the cultures were polytheistic, but some of them were monotheistic, but they weren't worshiping Jehovah.
They were false gods. Yeah.
But cultures tended to gravitate toward a god, and we
All
don't
of
look at
them.
things that way today.
All of them. Well, today we think that we're godless, but we've made ourselves God. That's all atheism and humanism is. It's magnifying human beings to the position of God, which one could argue is more dangerous than having a pagan god.
Now, you're Ian. You're from Hawaii and part Filipino. What kind of religious background do people in that part of the world have?
Well, in Hawaii is predominantly Christian. There were missionaries who had very big influence in the 18th and 19th centuries. So most people are Christian or Mormon. There's a lot of Mormons.
Is there a lot of Buddhism in that part of the world?
Well, there's a sizable Japanese population in Hawaii, and a lot of them are Buddhist.
Really? I would think Shintoist.
Well, Shinto Buddhism, a lot of Japanese people kind of dabble in both.
It's temples and candles. Temples and candles and bells. Oh my.
Right. Yeah, I like in the 40s, during the war, the Shinto temples were monitored by the federal government. You know, so there's a lot of that too. And there is a lot of folklore and Hawaiian mythology that kind of lingers in the culture. So even Christians will talk about experiences with the white lady, who is the most commonly thought to be the goddess Pele, the volcano goddess. There are a lot of superstitions.
Why she got to be white?
That persist. So, but you know, most people interpret the Hawaiian mythology through a Christian lens.
Yeah, I don't know a whole lot about the history prior to the missionaries going there and everything, but I do know that before it was part of the United States, there was a lot of the pagan culture all through.
Yeah, like Maui. Like I come from the island of
You're
Maui,
welcome.
Yes, exactly. Before Maui was Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Maui was a demigod whose claim to fame was that he pulled down the sun, like to the earth. So,
Wow.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
they fished out the islands with a magic fish hook.
They had to one up Hercules.
Yes.
What about the Philippines? They were Catholic.
Yeah, there's a big Catholic influence because of Spanish colonization.
What were they before they were Catholic?
You know, I'm not as read up on my Filipino history as I should be.
Anybody in the comments?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the religious landscape of the Philippines was like before Spanish colonialism.
You know, we're pretty ignorant about the rest of the world. I have to admit that when I study like Africa, for example, there are places in Africa that have a strong Christian heritage, and then there are others. It's voodoo, and then a lot of it where communists came in. They're more secular. It's you got to go from and they all have different languages, so it's really complicated. And I feel so ignorant sometimes when I'm reading about Africa, because I think, well, they're in Africa, they must believe this way. No, that's in the southern part of Africa. In the northern part of Africa, there's a lot of French influence. There's a lot of Christian influence. We get down around places like Uganda, which is Christian now, but in the past, Uganda had a completely different culture back in the days of Idi Amin. But
well, that guy was something else.
Yeah.
Before we get too further, Kendra had a comment, and I just wanted to say, yes, the white lady references what she wears and not her skin.
It's because I said, why she got to be white, and you were gone,
Yeah.
so you ran right over my joke.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I totally missed it.
That's all right, man. You were gone. I was like, oh man, he's being serious. I was trying to derail you.
That's all good.
Juneteenth, man.
Right.
Can't talk about the white lady in white on Juneteenth.
I have no idea what you guys are talking about. So again, I'm clueless.
You was talking about the Hawaiian false gods, man. She comes down and brings pineapples and macadamia nuts. Which the funny thing is, I actually thought you were talking about like they were having visions of Mary because of the Catholic influence, but I guess that's a Hawaiian false god pagan thing, right? That people are experiencing.
Yes.
Yeah. Interesting. I wonder what the correlation would be to people having those visions of Mary. That's the kind of stuff that I don't want to go into the whole Catholic
the kind
thing.
Of stuff where I wish I just had an unlimited budget, because I would study that for fun.
Yeah. No, dude, I'm with you, man. I go down those rabbit holes, and 3 weeks later, I'm like, wait a minute, I'm supposed to be making a record. I'm supposed to be doing I'm not supposed to be studying this. I got to figure out how this gear works.
Have you guys ever really looked into all the different countries in Africa?
There's so many, and so much of that history is oral. Basically, you have their oral history and the history of those that came and conquered or settled or colonized, because with no written history, I mean, dude, some of those peoples don't even have written language still. Like some of those languages are literally going extinct because it's not being written down because of this tribe conquering this tribe or this country being absorbed. Like you have like, oh, this is the last 3 people that speak this language that was spoken for 700 years or something like that. And, and they can't teach it anybody. It's crazy.
Yeah. Most of my knowledge of Africa is like North Africa from like antiquity. I'm not really familiar with the rest of the continent.
Yeah, I just found out the other day that the largest English-speaking city in the world. I mean, well, let me just ask you guys. Do you know what the largest city where they speak English, you know what it is?
Apparently not.
Apparently, yeah, because I would have said, well, who has more people, LA or New York? But then neither of them, both of them have so many immigrants that don't speak the language. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah.
That's not racist. That's called a fact, gentlemen.
It's not in the Western Hemisphere.
Really?
The largest English-speaking city in the world. And when I heard this, the first thing I thought, well, if it's not in America, then it's got to be India, right? Because they do speak English in India. Or maybe it's Hong Kong. But is Hong Kong a city? Or I wasn't really sure on how to categorize Hong Kong.
It's like a city-state.
Yeah. Anyway, doesn't matter. It's neither one of them. It's Lagos, Nigeria.
Wow.
Largest,
I didn't know Lagos was that big.
It's over 20 million people.
Wow.
Largest English-speaking city in the world. And Ghana and Nigeria, they speak English. And this is why you have so many scammers trying to scam Americans, because they kind of know our language. Although,
check out what Kimbo just put in the comments. I didn't know that. He said Angola is the largest Spanish-speaking African country. That's crazy.
Angola speaks Portuguese. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Angola does speak Portuguese.
Not Spanish?
But they may have a lot of Spanish-speaking people there.
I know they speak Portuguese because Rema Brazil planted a Portuguese-speaking campus in Angola. So
right, let's see, this Capo Verde is also, they speak Mozambique, Capo Verde, and Angola. They all speak Portuguese, but they probably do have a lot of Spanish-speaking people there. Do they speak Spanish in Morocco? I don't know.
I don't know about that. I will say to Esther's comment about Africa prophesied to be leaders in evangelism. I believe they already are. They're sending evangelists and missionaries here because we're doing such a poor job. Because we have pastors and podcasters arguing if interracial marriage is biblical or not. Instead of, that's what I was telling my friend after watching that whole thing. I'm like, what in the world? Like, I'm all for discussions and debates and like what we're doing here. But if this is all that the three of us were doing 7 days a week, I mean, what a waste of time. I mean, like there's no time to go and preach the gospel and baptize people. And it blows my mind. Absolutely blows my mind.
Yeah, there are a lot of people. This is something I've tried to point out, is that there are a lot of people who seem to live online, and their whole world is about debating theology. And I'm like, do you ever get out and do anything? Do you ever talk to people from different ministries? This is one thing I've tried to do on my channel, is to have a mix of debate and teaching and interviews, and let people know what's going on around the world. I had Tim Rogers on a few years ago, who is a pastor of a church in Mexico. He's another Rhema graduate. He's from Canada. He learned Spanish on a mission trip. And then he went to Bible school, and then he went down there and started a church in Mexico. He's fluent in Spanish, doing a great job down there, flying under the radar. Most of these discernment people never heard of Tim Rogers. They've never heard of most of the guys that I'm familiar with. Darren Ray in Brazil. Then you've got Ramus, South Africa. Yeah, how many of these discernment guys have ever talked about Ray McCauley or any of the people that came out of his church, other than Rodney Howard Brown? Rodney Howard Brown came out of that church. But there's a whole lot going on in the world that these discernment people know nothing about, because they're just focused on a handful of televangelists here in the States. And it's like, you have no clue what's going on in the world. If all you ever listen to is Benny Hinn and Kenneth Copeland and Joel Osteen, you don't know nothing.
So are we reaching the Mike Winger part of the live streams?
I'm going to be nice.
I thought we were going into UFOs. We're getting into discernment ministry. I mean, we could go either direction.
The funny thing is, the discernment thing has mostly died down. What you see now is the whole ancient churches, the Orthodox, basically Orthodox versus the world. That's what you see right now, is we are the one true church. Yeah. And if you are not part of the one true church, we know where the Holy Spirit is. We don't know where the Holy Spirit isn't.
Okay, and I don't know anything about this. Tell me about it.
There are a handful of Orthodox influencers, I guess, that I like. Jonathan Pageau, Martin Shaw is kind of like the Tom Bombadil of Eastern Orthodoxy. He's a great writer, but so many of these guys
was that the guy that was on Pints of Aquinas?
the poet.
I think he may. Yeah, I think he was on Pines.
Man, I really like that guy.
Yeah, he's great.
He's Orthodox? I thought he was Anglican. Or his wife's Anglican? His wife's like an Anglican minister?
That might be right. I don't
think he's Orthodox, because I was like, his wife wouldn't be a minister.
Well, I think he's a recent convert, but I could be mistaken on that. But I mean, so many of the Ortho Bros have managed to out-snob the Calvinists and the Catholics.
Oh, bro.
It's quite a feat.
They took it to a whole other level.
Ready for its close-up, Mr. DeMille.
Bro, I tell you what, I feel like Jay Dyer and Andrew Wilson successfully destroyed it was becoming a movement, and they single-handedly brought it to a not a crawl, a standstill. Because they're watching those guys go after God Logic and David Wood and cursing them out. I mean, just turned everybody off. I mean, yeah, you're right. He that reads, it was trending. It trended 4 times on Twitter in a week. 4 times. And I don't even go on Twitter that much, so it might have even trended more. I basically poke my head in there once or twice a week, and I'm like, oh, God, it's horrible. Yeah, I get out because it's just I can't fix my algorithm.
Yeah, Orthodoxy is kind of like the cutting edge of where like online Christian discourse is at the moment. Like Gavin Ortland, evangelical pastor somewhere in the South, just had a video that he did with Father Stephen DeYoung, who's a very popular Orthodox priest. Girls Gone Bible had a big interview with another Orthodox priest. So it's ramping up to have a moment. I don't know how well Orthodoxy will do in America.
I think they blew it. I think they blew it, because I told Rod, I said, listening to Sam Shamoon, I really didn't like Jay Dyer ever, but I tried to watch his stuff on the occultic underbelly of Hollywood. His research there
that's how I found it.
Second to none, really about second to none. But I can't really stand to hear him talk about anything else, because he thinks he's smarter than everybody else, and he has a severe arrogance and attitude. Yeah, and it makes it intolerable.
You can think you're smarter than everybody else, but you can't act like you're smarter than everybody else.
Yeah. So, and listening to Sam Shamoon was, before he really went off the deep end here recently, did a good job of saying, okay, this is why I, left Calvinism, then left Protestantism altogether. And this is why I'm still debating whether or not I should, even go Orthodox compared to Roman Catholicism. And it was interesting hearing the points, like my grandparents were Catholic, the Dominican Republic is like 50% Catholic, 50% Protestant. I actually found this out yesterday. My mom sent me this video about the DR. The Dominican Republic is the only country in the world that has the Bible in its flag, in its national flag. I was like, dude, I've been looking at, and I have the bandera, like, if you're Dominican, you have to have it somewhere. And I have it like hanging in my truck and somewhere else. I'm like, I've never noticed the Bible's right there. Anyway, so yeah, they learning about the ancient churches, and there are some compelling arguments, but the idolatry of Mary, and basically, to me, they become Pharisaical. To me, I really don't see much of a difference between modern Catholicism and Orthodoxy, and the same sins that the Pharisees and Sadducees fell into. They care so much about their process, so much about their councils, and they have made the word of God void, null and void.
Yes, I think there's a lot of beauty in both the Catholic and the Orthodox traditions, but they place them on much too high a pedestal, in my opinion, that yes, their traditions do tend to make the word of God of no effect.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's funny because they say I was watching one of them. They were having I can't remember if it was they were talking to David Wood or if it was a debate with more of a discussion. It was actually very cordial, even dare I say, very Christian. It was Christendom coming together to have a discussion. And the guy said he brought up some saint from, I don't know, 700 years ago. And he's talking about all this stuff the saint did. And I'm like, man, have you read God's Generals? Like, this guy is but they're so ignorant to everything outside of their own little. And the thing is, like, I'm like, bro, if you're the one true church, you mean the ones the Muslim conquered and you still haven't gotten your home country and church back? That would be like the Muslims conquering Rome, taking the Vatican, and it's still a mosque till today. I mean,
yeah.
If not for the Catholic Church, the Eastern Orthodox Church would not exist because the Muslims would have wiped them all out, like they're doing to the Copts in Egypt. I'm sorry. Let's talk about aliens. Go ahead, Ian.
Yeah.
Does anyone
What a great
believe
segue.
the Kandahar, Afghanistan giant story?
Does anybody believe it? I think it's very possible. I think it's possible. Yeah, that's as far as I go. Like I wouldn't be surprised if it was fake. I wouldn't be surprised if it was true.
Is this like Tim Alberino talks about that, right?
Tim Alberino talks about it. Ellie Marzulli talked about it. They've talked to the pilots. They've talked to crews, people that saw the thing, were there, transported the thing. It's kind of funny. So I actually told Kimbell to remind me because he mentioned something about Nephilim and UFO earlier when we got on that other rabbit trail. It was a good rabbit trail, but I'm glad that we're off of it because it's like Camelot. 'Tis a silly place. You're welcome. As for you, Catastrophic Cannon, but I actually had a video. I was talking to Derek Gilbert. It was a clip out of one of my interviews with him, and it might have even been a picture of the Kandahar giant, but it was a gray-skinned, red-haired giant. What people talk about when they see these beings and creatures in the last 200 years. And somebody in my comments said, "I've seen one." And I was like, where and when? I need to hear this story. He said he saw it, but the skin was more beige than gray. That's not a comment that you get every day, Just like I had a man that I went to church with that saw Bigfoot, and for months afterwards, he would have those like light orbs around his house. And I told him, I said, brother, you need to pray and fast because that is not of the Lord. So
I'm not a Bigfoot believer.
Listen, I'm not, and this is not like he's not like me. He's not, a conspiracy bro. He's not into that type of stuff. But he saw me. I can't remember how I don't know if I was doing a podcast or something. And he said, hey, man, I got to tell you something. And I was like, oh, great. Somebody died. Somebody's getting divorced. What happened? Because in church, when somebody says, I need to talk to you, it's like, oh, boy, it could be anything, right?
Mm.
And he told me the story of this thing walking around. I think it was his mother's property. And she had like 20 acres or something like that. So like they had a big cleared, but he's like, he saw this thing clear as day. There was no mistaking what it was that he saw. So Campbell, I think they're partially spiritual. I think they're 100% demonic, which is why they are able to, why it's so hard to get footage of them. I mean, does anybody ever gotten a picture of a demon? There is actually, I tell you what, don't go looking this up. I really encourage you. I'm almost even hesitant to share this because I look like as a fool went and looked this thing up. There was a woman, a witch in another country that she would commune with not only the dead but also evil spirits, and she captured footage of basically communing with a gray alien, and she took pictures of that thing. And this is from like the 90s. So they ain't no faking it. Like those pictures will freak you out.
She's a witch.
She's a
Man.
so she's made of wood. Good.
Oh, we could do the nose and the wart, but she's a witch.
Burn her anyway.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Agreed, Esther.
No, you were talking about Ortho Bros, and I haven't really, other than you, I haven't heard about all of that. But I thought the big story in the discernment world was the government revelation of UFOs. That's all I've heard these people talking about. All of these charismatics going crazy about UFOs and now
the Orthodox are also all over the disclosure stuff too.
Really?
Yeah. There was a very popular Orthodox podcast called Lord of Spirits, who kind of took the Mike Heiser Unseen Realm stuff and reinterpreted it through like the Orthodox lens. And so those guys have kind of been
okay. I don't know any Orthodox guys that I know about. The one that Idol Killer has on from time to time. He's always got a suit and tie and dressed to the nines. I don't remember that guy's name. But he's there to talk about penal substitution, because they reject penal substitution in the Orthodox Church, and Idol Killer rejects it. So that's the reason he has that guy on for the most part. And then there's Hank Hanegraaff, who converted to Eastern Orthodox,
right,
even though he's the Bible Answer Man, which was founded by Dr. Walter Martin, who would have rejected Eastern Orthodox. I don't know, but I think Dr. Martin would have said that Eastern Orthodox is not Christian, not biblical.
Yeah, that would make sense to me that he would have that opinion.
The Walter Martin was an evangelical.
Was it Paul Ventry?
Yeah,
that's what that BZ Talk said in the comments.
Oh,
BZ's hip. He's tracking along.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm not watching the comments.
That's why you got me here. You're all right. I got you covered.
Right, Paul Ventry. He's really I don't know. He's really articulate. He's really focused on what he's talking about, but he comes across to me as being very stiff, and he just loses my interest after a while, because he is just, he doesn't seem to have any sense of humor. He just seems to be driving away at whatever point. He'd make a good attorney, but I just don't think he makes a good podcaster. And Paul, if you're watching, I'm sorry. It's just I can't get into that. I mean, yeah, it's interesting theologically to talk about penal substitution, and there's this rift in the evangelical world between people who, like Mike Winger, and what's the guy's name, Sean McDowell.
Yeah.
Those guys would all hold to penal substitution.
Most evangelicals.
Well, the funny thing
PSA.
is, well, and even the Orthodox, I was listening to a guy talk about it. It's not that they don't believe that Christ sins. He died for our sins. His blood covers our. It's terminology, and it's getting it's really getting into the weeds of it. But hey man, did Jesus die so that you could be forgiven your sins, go to heaven? Yeah. Well, we call that this. Well, yeah, but we call this other thing, and we got to add. You got to read 16,000 books, and I got to give you 14,000 paragraphs to explain the same stupid thing that can be summed up with Jesus died. His blood covers your sin. Right? We agree. We agree.
Right. Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Like the guy he talked for 20 minutes, and I'm like, So you basically just want to make you just want to sound smarter than everybody in the room. That's what you guys are sounding like? They complicate soup, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
that's like the mere Christian impulse, like to borrow that term from C.S. Lewis, the mere Christian impulse that most like charismatics and Pentecostals have, to just go back to what does the Bible say? Because like you listen to the Reform Bros talk about penal substitutionary atonement, like they're not doing that without referencing Calvin 1,000 times.
Yep.
And the Orthodox are going to reference like Saint Maximus the Confessor or somebody that's been dead for 1,500 years to make their arguments. So it is kind of like the Pentecostal charismatic impulse that the three of us probably share.
I put atonement theories
to like, what does the Bible say?
I consider atonement theories to be like rapture theories, pre, mid, post.
Yeah.
You know, okay, Jesus is coming back. That's the important thing. I and that's why I'm pan-trib now. I don't think that's what we're supposed to be focused on, is charting out, where we're on God's prophetic timeline, and
watch and pray.
Are we pre-wrath, mid-trib, and it's the same thing with atonement theories. Jesus died for our sins. He was raised for our justification. Believe in Jesus, you'll be saved. I don't understand how penal substitution could work the way that some people say, but I believe that there are aspects of it that are right. I believe the ransom theory. There's, some truth in the ransom theory, but I don't believe that God paid a ransom to the devil. If that's what you mean by ransom theory, but the Bible does say that Jesus gave his life as a ransom. And then there's moral satisfaction. I mean,
Christus Victor.
Yeah, there's merit in a lot of these different theories, and I'm just not going to waste my time trying to figure out. This is why when people criticize the Word of Faith movement, say, "Well, you guys have a heretical atonement theory." There is no one
as opposed to everybody else, because here's the problem. Everybody, and this is least in the charismatic Pentecostal churches. There are some Pentecostals and charismatics. We grew up in the Church of God, and they have a song that they even wrote saying the Church of God is right. So there are some Church of God people, but they're the minutia.
My grandfather was Church of God for many years, but
yeah, so they're the minutia. But the majority of Pentecostals and charismatics don't think that we have it all figured out. We have it all right. We're just trying to figure it out and try to do right and walk in the Spirit, right? Nearly every other Christian denomination, when you come down to it, they basically, it comes down to, if you don't believe like us, you're wrong and you're sinning, you're going to hell. All of them, which to me is even hilarious in Calvinism, because I'm like, well, how does that even work? I don't have a choice. So I was damned anyway. So I never had a chance. Never had a snowball's chance in hell, literally. So I'm using biblical language, y'all. Don't get offended.
I'm not offended. No, the more I learn about theology, the more I think we're overdoing it.
He said, unless you come as children, you can't inherit the kingdom. Yeah. I mean, he was trying to simplify things because they had, at that point, what was it, 2,000 years of oral Torah, of Talmudic stuff that they had thrown on top of the law, and they only had like what, 40 some odd books at that point, and they had made that stuff so complicated. And he's like, look, man, oh, you're breaking a grain on the Sabbath, you're working, you're in sin. He's like, are you guys serious? Are you serious? And he's the one that made the law. He's the one that put the law. Like, he doesn't know what law he's in, he's put into place.
All right.
I'm telling you, man, we strain out gnats. Gnat
strainers. That's what we should call you.
It's ridiculous.
There's
drives you crazy.
Jared is from Zimbabwe and now lives in Australia. You missed our discussion about Africa, Jared. So anyway, do you guys want to talk about Disclosure Day?
Yes.
Yeah, I got about 20 minutes left. So
Perfect. That's
Okay.
perfect. Because I gotta get myself to bed at a decent hour myself because I gotta sing tomorrow. So
So go for it.
Never had a choice.
Steven
Are we
Spielberg.
talking about the movie, right?
Yeah.
Disclosure. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Steven Spielberg is releasing. I guess it's already in the theaters,
It's out.
but he's out there talking about some of the same things that the conspiracy theory that the government is releasing all this. Anyway, supposedly, people are going to lose their faith after they find out what the government knows about UFOs, right? And Spielberg's talking about that now. And Alan DiDio was talking about the movie the other day, and I left a comment. I said, they have to make $300 million just to break even. They had like a $200 million budget and then $100 million for marketing. So just to
They're
break
getting
even,
like 600 million to break even because half of the money they make is going to the theater.
okay.
So,
I don't know how this
yeah.
all works. I'm not a movie guy.
They need roughly like a little more than double their budget to make to break even.
Okay.
It's gonna fail spectacularly.
My point is, I think he's trying to stir up controversy to put
Yes,
I
butts
agree.
in the seats.
I 100% agree with you, Rod. I
The
think
movie severely underdelivers on what Spielberg is saying.
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
Yes, unfortunately.
I should have
saw it?
known.
Really.
Yeah,
I listened to about 4 or 5 reviewers, and I was like, well, I ain't gonna waste my time with this. This is like, it doesn't even have a payoff.
Well, I saw it before I heard the reviews.
Oh, you
I
poor
mean,
soul.
I thought the trailer looked very good. Steven Spielberg's return to genre for the first time in like 20, 25 years. I was sold. And then he said the stuff about like, this is going to challenge your faith. Christians are going to have to rethink their religion after they see this movie. And I thought, wow, like we're going to explore what like the aftermath of government disclosure would be like. And it's not. It's about the lead up to disclosure. Like none of the aftermath. There's like no reason why anybody's faith should be challenged after watching this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was the consensus of what I heard was, number one, why would it only be Christians? So
Right.
that was interesting off the bat, but it spoiler alert, guys, disclosure doesn't even actually happen in the movie. It happens when they roll the credits.
Disclosure is about to happen at the end, and then the credits roll.
Yeah.
And it's insane because like the whole thrust of the movie, like leading up to the climax, is this person has video proof that aliens exist. What do we have to do? We have to show it on the evening news.
We got to go on CNN because we don't have the internet.
Go on CNN. And it's like anybody under 50 is watching this, just like you could upload it to YouTube and the movie would be over in 10 minutes.
TikTok, there you go. And you're exactly right. And there's so many stupid plot. Yeah, that was the consensus was it was so poorly written. And he's a great director, but if you have a bad story, you can't fix that. There's no fixing a bad story.
It's well directed. Steven Spielberg's obviously like an incredibly competent filmmaker. There's no story here that like nothing really of note. I mean, like we could have explored like the telepathic control of human beings, like so many experiencers in real life, alleged experiencers, talk about having their cognitive functions or their bodily functions overridden by these entities that they come in contact with.
Sleep paralysis.
Yeah, we could have explored if he really wanted to challenge people of faith and like religion, and like you could have like, oh, what does an exorcist, what does a Catholic priest who can perform the rite of exorcism, how does he handle an experiencer who believes that they're being telepathically controlled by an extraterrestrial? Like, that's an interesting movie. That's what I thought this movie was going to be, and it just wasn't.
Yeah, the sad thing was I'm listening to Chris Gore and Nerdrotic talk about it, and in 10 minutes he said, you know what, you know, it's like, because he's talking about how disappointed he was, and he said, listen, I hate to take a dump on Steven Spielberg because he's all of our childhood, but within 10 minutes this dude pitched a better movie than what this movie was, and I was like, oh my gosh, like it went from like, I went past disappointment almost to anger, because I was like, I didn't want to see this, but I was gonna go watch it just to be able to have an answer, because if this is really, you know, if this is gonna happen, but the movie's so bad, it's like, and you know, we've already gotten so much hints at disclosure, and nobody cared. Nobody cared. They literally got on the news and said, yeah, UFOs are real. We have these ships. They're not of Earth origin. And nobody gave a rat's patootie. I mean, like, it would have to be an alien getting on the TV or a mile-wide ship, like L.A. Marzulli's been saying for the last 7 years, over Los Angeles. And even then, people would be like, yeah, that's AI, that's garbage. You know, you'd have to have like 1,000 people out there on live streaming on TikTok and X for people to believe it. But this Joker goes up and says, you know what the movie I wanted to see? You know what would have been more interesting than this? 10 minutes into the movie, a ship comes up, it opens up, and Richard Dreyfuss walks out. And I was like, oh my gosh, dude. You tie it to Close Encounters of...
Which is an actually good alien movie.
An incredible. That movie scared the crap out of me when I was a kid. Still gives me the heebie-jeebies. And we got this crap. It's garbage.
It reminded me of The Last Temptation of Christ. I don't know if that was a long time ago. I don't know if
before our time, but we've heard the tales of the controversy.
The whole point was controversy. It was for the sake of marketing. That was Martin Scorsese. But I remember Paul and Janet Crouch, they were doing shows on TBN about this horrible movie, The Last Temptation of Christ. And all they did was just get more people to go see it. And I thought, why don't you guys just shut up? You're not helping. You're actually getting more people interested, because it's not a good movie. All the reviews of The Last Temptation of Christ that I heard were, this movie stinks. But it was successful at the box office because of all these Christian people that were condemning it. And they just played right into the hands of Martin Scorsese. It was sold on controversy, not on quality.
Yeah.
And I kind of got that same impression with Steven Spielberg, because that he's trying to be controversial. He's just not as good at it as Martin Scorsese was. But
no, he doesn't hang out with enough gangsters.
Scorsese is Italian?
No, I'm saying Spielberg doesn't hang out with enough gangsters.
Okay.
Spielberg doesn't, you know.
George Lucas and Coppola, they're not gangster enough for.
Well, I mean, Coppola's Italian, but George Lucas, I mean, like, you know, Spielberg hangs out with nerds. Nerds don't know how to be controversial. Nerds are controversial by accident.
Yeah. I don't know. Spielberg seems to have a point of view when it comes to aliens. Like, somebody in the comments in the chat said he directed Indiana Jones 4. Like
BZ said that, yeah.
You know, yeah. It's like those first 3 movies, especially Raiders and The Last Crusade, there was like this mystical feeling to those movies that like maybe the God of the Bible is still at work in the world today. Like, you know, the Ark of the Covenant and you know, the Goblet,
Holy Grail.
Yep. The Holy Grail, The Last Crusade has one of the best illustrations of faith, I think, that anybody's ever come up with. And then they come out with Indy 4,
Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
And it's like, no, it was just aliens the whole time. And in Disclosure Day, spoiler alert, if you want to go see Disclosure Day, World War III is happening or about to happen for some reason in this movie. It's not really clear why. And that's one of the motivations for Disclosure and bringing this video to the evening news on CNN is like, for some reason, revelation of aliens and like incontrovertible proof that they really do exist will somehow prevent nuclear war. And I don't know.
I feel like it would escalate it.
Yeah, I don't know what the government is paying Spielberg to prep us for, but it seems like he has a certain point of view that he wants people to be exposed to.
Well, that was the funny thing. That was even Chris Gore said that. He said, I feel like Spielberg was forced to make this movie. He said, I'm watching. That's what it felt like when I'm watching this.
Wow.
You know? Yeah. Like I actually like texted that to Bishop Alan Didio and Evan as I was watching the review. I texted that to them. I said, huh. Because, you know, like, yeah, he was hyping it up, you know, like, oh man, they're going to be a big anti-faith movement. And I'm like, this is a bomb.
Well, to add to the pile of circumstantial evidence here, on one of the podcasts, he said those things on, it was with Michelle Obama.
There you go.
Like, take that for what you will.
Yeah, but there's no such thing as Illuminati. There's no such thing. They're not all in the same club. Shoot, that was George Carlin. They're all in the same club. And you're not in it.
Yeah.
You ain't in it.
Who knows? Speaking of African Americans, the world's first trillionaire is an African American. Think about that for a minute.
That is true.
We've been going for 2 hours, guys. I'm ready to wrap it up, and I know you guys both have something to do. So we'll go ahead and say goodnight. Ian, are you doing anything? You doing a podcast or anything? You got a website?
My podcast has been inactive, but my back catalog of episodes are all out there. If you're into the UFOs, I did a 4-episode series on the unseen realm and kind of trying to cover Mike Heiser's work from a more charismatic perspective. So that's all out there. The Bible School podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere that you listen to podcasts. The back catalog of episodes are all out there if you want to check them out.
Okay. Is that on YouTube or where do you have that?
No, they're on Spotify, Apple, whatever Google Play service that you get.
Audio only?
They're just audio, yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay. And then Gabriel has By Faith Videos and Gabriel Bello Music. You got anything else that you want to tell the viewers about?
No, just well, I mean, I've got the Give Send Go for the studio. The website will be up. It was supposed to be up last week, supposed to be up this week. But it's like every week that, and I don't know, at this point I'm starting to believe maybe it was predestined. I'm not Calvinist, but I do have some Calvinist tendencies. Because every time I'm gonna get this thing done tomorrow, and like a roadblock comes up, and it's something that, like, you know, when David Phelps' team, hey, we want you to play saxophone on this new record, you know, and this new song. Can you get it turned around to us in the next couple of days? Like, yeah. Yes, that would be very good for everybody. So, but yeah, the studio is done. We did a recording here this past Monday. Trying to get some music videos up, trying to get some new music out. But yeah, go listen to like Ian's back catalog and stuff. I've got 5 or 6 records, a bunch of singles. So everywhere that you stream music, Gabriel Bello, it's all under my name. And of course, follow me here on YouTube, Gabriel Bello Music, and Soul Vitamins, where I try to have Rod over there, and need to get Ian over there too. Get back in the habit. So good to see you.
We need that episode about Wes Huff's comments on speaking in tongues.
Oh yes, yeah, that's right. That's right. I think I hit you up on Facebook about that. Yeah. That's
we should make time for that at some point.
Ooh, that sounds interesting.
Rod
Yeah.
is more than welcome to.
Let's do it.
I feel
Let's do it.
like
Let's-
you'd add a lot to that conversation.
Gabriel and I
100%.
did a podcast, and we mentioned Wes Huff, and he left a comment.
Oh, he got butt hurt. It's like
Yeah.
I didn't say that. You are misrepresenting mine. I'm like,
Oh,
really? I thought we were super awesome.
All
we were
right.
talking about how much we loved him, but just disagreed with him a little bit on healing.
yeah, and he
That was
never
Well-
clarified how we misrepresented him. So
No,
I like the guy. I didn't mean to offend
I like him too. Maybe I disagree with him on a couple of things, but I think he's a net good for the body
Yeah.
of Christ.
So anyway, and I'm Rod Saunders from Jew and Greek, and this is pretty much what I'm doing right now as far as online. I got a lot of stuff going on offline, but hopefully I'll have a whole lot more time in a few months to get back to my production that I used to try to do 2 videos a week, and now I'm lucky if I can get one out. But that'll be changing by the end of the year. I'll be updating you on some other stuff that's really interesting, but I can't talk about it right now. But I will soon enough. So thanks, Ian and Gabriel, for joining me tonight. Thank all of you for watching. Don't go see Disclosure Day. It's a bad movie.
Save your $20-$40.
that's it. Happy Juneteenth.
Yeah,
Don't go support Steven Spielberg.
send the money to Gabriel to help him finish his studio
Hey, amen.
instead. So anyway,
Lift
okay.
every voice and sing, yo.
If we do something on Wes Huff, I'll let you guys know.
Let's
So,
do it.
In the meantime, have a blessed week, and we'll see you next time. Good night.